Hello there, and welcome to a LEGO Star Wars mock video. Today, you can see behind me, I've got some micro-scale Star Wars ships, some small, some quite big over here, and we're going to go through them one by one and show you all the details. So, let's get into it. One thing before we start is just to mention that I know I will be getting some comments asking about instructions for these particular mocks. I have to say, off the bat, I am not going to be doing instructions, unfortunately, and I will tell you why. When I was creating these, I took a lot of inspiration from creations that are already out there, in some cases for sale. For instance, quite a few of these were inspired by the creations of Brick Vault, who work with designers to come up with these instructions. And I didn't actually go ahead and buy those instructions. I just used the pictures as inspiration and reference to get some of the scaling correct, and indeed some of the finer details as well. But these builds are all my own builds, but because of the inspiration I took from other creations, I don't feel right going and, trying to charge people for them. And in terms of their simplicity, they're actually all quite simple. So hopefully if you want to create these, you can retro engineer them from this video. So that'd be a little bit of a fun challenge. Or of course, if you want something similar, you can go and find the designs yourself and purchase or download instructions. Okay, enough waffling, let's get into the ships. First up, we've got what's possibly one of the most iconic ships from Star Wars, which is of course the X-Wing Fighter. Now, this is about as small as I could make it. It is probably not 100% in scale with some of the other ships, but I'm really happy with it overall, and especially from a distance, it doesn't look too out of scale at all. Now, this is quite a delicate build, so I wouldn't 100% recommend it for actually a toy or something to play with. It works better on display, particularly these cannons on here, which are just fixed on by a single stud and can rotate because of the piece they're used that I've used to attach them. To try and get that to focus on them a little bit better. There we go. So yeah, this is one of the first designs I came up with. I really wanted a little X-Wing. It's such a unique ship, and one which is so closely associated with Star Wars, I thought I couldn't go without one. It uses very simple techniques, of course. You can see layered plates and slopes here. I've got a 1x1 stud just representing an astromech, probably R2-D2 in this case. The wings are just clipped on, just with simple modified plates with clips there. The structure at the back actually uses two of the 1x2 modified rounded plates. They are just back to back here and here. And we'll just try and pull some of this off to show you a little bit more of the structure, although you can kind of see how it comes together. In fact, the entire front can just pop off like that. It's only held on by one stud, and you can see how the structure is made. It's just got a modified 1x1 plate there with the, it's not really a clip or a bar. It's the bit off the side which has a stud on either side. It's the newer version which has these as a plate thick. And there's one there, and then there's actually one on the top just here, which is holding a headlight brick, which just has a 1x1 tile with a bar on it, so that just creates some more detail. To hold the wings on, there are actually the T-shaped pneumatic pieces, 4 of those, which go through the holes here and meet directly in the middle. Off them on the back, we've got 1x1 round plates or studs with the hole through the middle, and then on the back we've just got Technic half pins with the stud on them. So overall, it's a fairly simple build, just uses wedge plates for the actual wing shapes, but the eventual solution is really great. You can, of course, close the S-foils. They don't come completely together. That's something I wasn't quite able to do, but you are able to either put them parallel with a little bit of a gap or close them up together like that. So that is the X-Wing. Time to move on to another Rebel ship. Going all the way to the other end of the alphabet, this is of course the AWing Fighter. I actually used a advent calendar build as the inspiration for this. I just shortened the slopes from 1x4s to 1x3s, which I think keeps everything a little bit more in scale. You can see how it's all been built around a modified brick with studs on both sides in white. Small details here for the guns. Small cockpit there, and then the fins on the back are just very simple wedge plates and a couple of brackets with 1x1 trans yellow tiles to represent the engines on the back. It's not an overly complicated build, and it comes together using very few pieces, and I think the result is very nice. And back to the other end of the alphabet again for the Ywing. Now, this was a very interesting build to put together. Obviously, the Ywing is a sort of bizarre skeletal creation, so I had some fun trying to create this, which just uses bars on the inside and then clear 1x1 round bricks. A lot of wheel hub pieces here, 6 in total, and then these modified plates with the Technic hole, this time facing upwards, to connect them on. And then on the front, we've actually got these BB-8 heads in plain white, which I was really happy to get. They are the perfect size between a, either a 1x1 or a 2x2. These are sort of just slightly in the middle, which I think makes it perfect. I've got a gold 1x1 round plate there, representing, again, an astromech. The main cockpit section is actually made using one of the modified bricks or camera pieces as they've been known in the past. And then there's a reddish-brown a reddish-brown 3-long bar that goes through there and just secures everything in place. These are tiles on the side. They are free-floating, and I'm not sure what looks better, whether it's better to put them at the back, so there's a little gap at the front, or whether to do them like that. Let me know in the comments which one you think looks better. Then the front just uses some various slopes in yellow and white to create that distinct front. And I've just included a single sand blue 1x1 tile on the top, just as a little nod to how the ship is coloured, both in LEGO sets and in the films. And then on the back, there's just a couple of little details suggesting the massive greebling on there, which I unfortunately couldn't get in at this scale. Right, going from the Rebellion over to the Empire, it's time to take a look at these TIE Fighters. There's actually only 2 distinct designs here. The 2 at the back are the same. They are the standard TIE Fighter, and we'll look at that first. So this is a very simple build. This one in particular is heavily inspired by the Brick Vault version. You can see it's just a very simple build using a modified brick with studs on all sides in the centre, some 1x1 plates and 2x2s, and then these wedges on the outside, which go together to form a pretty good approximation of how the ship looks. Obviously, you don't get the detailing on the outside. That could be added on, but I think I prefer to keep the wings quite thin. In the centre, we've got a roller skate piece being used as a suggestion for the guns and also possibly for the TIEs, the actual twin ion engines on the back. And then that hollow stud there is just representing the sort of back viewport or exhaust port. I'm not quite sure what it's meant to be. On the front, I did originally use a trans black or trans brown 1x1 round tile for the viewport, but then when I got the Imperial Light Cruiser, it actually comes with those even smaller TIE Fighters with the square wings, and they have these wonderful printed cockpit pieces on them. And luckily, there were 2 TIE Fighters and a spare piece, because it is a small one, so I was able to swap them out for all 3. So that's 2 regular and then 1 advanced TIE Fighter as used by Darth Vader in A New Hope. This is similar in some ways. It's got that same front piece, same top piece there, but then the back is actually slightly different, using a combination of different modified bricks and brackets to keep everything on. And then these wings are actually attached using brackets there and then a clip piece, and everything is structured around a grey 4-long bar there. It's not the best solution I've found. There are some better ideas out there, but this was the one that spoke to me the most, in that it was probably the most legal way of putting everything together. If you want to be, if you want to be really, what's the right word? What do you want to be specific about it? Gosh, I'm failing words at the moment. But I think the overall look is pretty nice. You get the suggestion of the grey along the sides, along with the black outer wings. I might try some different colour combinations on that in future, just to see if I can make something a little bit better. And finally, the piece de resistance, not Rebellion, which I suppose it should really be, is the little Hoth scene here, appropriately enough, on a white table of a T-47 airspeeder or snowspeeder and an AT-80. Now, obviously, this is not as big as the UCS one that has come out very recently, or in fact, I don't think it's come out yet as of the time of recording. But I think this does justice to the vehicle in a much smaller scale. Again, this was heavily inspired by Brick Vault, so if you do want to have actual instructions, then please go ahead and order from them. Mine is inspired by, but using my own techniques. It uses the printed cheese slope, double cheese slope, which came in the recent AT-80 versus Tauntaun Microfighter set, as well as the anniversary Hoth gift with purchase set. And I think it looks really nice. you might consider it cheating, but I think it looks good on the front there. Got details for the 4 guns that are present on the head of the vehicle. Obviously the legs there, including ball joints at the bottom for the feet. I'll just pull off one of the sides so you can see how the top is connected. So it actually uses the bars with clips, which have been clipped onto modified plates with bars on them there, and then those are just hollow studs inside there to secure the 2 tiles, and that means everything is kept at the right angle and looks pretty good once everything is all closed up. So there we go, and we'll just put that together. The Snow Speeder is a very simple build. This is one that I actually kind of mostly made up myself. It's on a 2x2 trans-clear round brick. That's a very long name there. Basically, because if it doesn't have that, then these 2 parts aren't connected. The other solution I found was to use a 2x2 boat stud or inverted stud. You know, the kind I mean, that allow things to slide over surfaces. That does mean that it tends to warble about a bit. And actually putting it on the 2x2 brick means it can hover like that. Of course, you can swap that out if you want. It's a very simple build. The wings are actually held on by the cannons, which are secured at the back there. There's just a small detailing there representing the radiator. Unfortunately, couldn't find space to put the rear gunner's cockpit in there, but I think the front one looks good enough, and I hope I've got the right level of orange on there so that the ship doesn't look too bizarre. So there we go. That was hopefully a quick rundown of my micro-scale LEGO Star Wars ships. I do have one more in the works, which is a Imperial shuttle based on the Tidarium. I haven't managed to get all the correct pieces for that yet, so I'm going to be leaving that one off for now. What I will be doing with these, as I mentioned previously, is creating a little diorama with my Imperial light cruiser. The AT-AT and the Snowspeeder won't be part of that, just because they are obviously ground-based vehicles, really. But I will be creating, hopefully, a small Hoth diorama for those to go with. The rest of these will be placed around my Imperial light cruiser, and I'm hoping to make them all dynamic, using trans-clear pieces as though they're flying, and laser blasts going everywhere. So, yeah, that'll be a fun little project. It's not going to go ahead just yet, but it'll be something to plan for in the future. Right, hope you enjoyed this little mock showcase. Hopefully it's not gone on too long. If you have enjoyed, then please leave a like down below, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel for more, and don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified when I put out a new video. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a good one. Bye.